The time to join us today. I am Samantha with RDM, and as we know here at RDM, we help clients get more out of their Sage 300 software, not just through implementation and support, but also by looking for practical ways to make everyday accounting work easier and more efficient. That's why we're glad to introduce you to myCREcloud. Their platform is designed to give Sage 300 users more flexibility and accessibility, making it easier to work securely, effectively from everywhere you are. Tyler from myCREcloud is here with us, and he's going to walk you through what they do, how the platform works, and where it may be helpful for your team. So Tyler, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Samantha. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm Tyler from myCREcloud, and we are really glad to have everyone here today. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into it, just a couple of things. This session is being recorded, so if a colleague couldn't make it live, you'll be able to share the replay later. Slides will come out afterwards as well, so we'll save live questions for the last section. But if anything comes up during the presentation, feel free to drop anything into the chat, and our team is watching, so we'll jump in and get those answered. So to start it off, here's exactly what we'll be covering today. We're going to start out with, first and foremost, the real reason Sage 300 CRE infrastructure actually matters to your business, not just to IT. We'll walk through what a modern hosted environment actually looks like for Sage, the access model, security, backup, and disaster recovery. And after that, we'll get into the migration path and show you a live look at the experience. We're going to cover how the economics go and walk you through how an OPEX transition operating expenses from CapEx for your hardware can prove financially beneficial. And we'll close with a clear next step, a hosted environment assessment you can request today. Thank you, Samantha, again for the introduction. We look forward to working with you guys as you guys serve the Sage clients so well on the accounting, payroll, and reporting side. And we just kind of look to make the performance better by improving that infrastructure there. So let's get right into it. What is Sage exactly? Sage isn't a lightweight, simple application. It's not a SaaS tool. It's running in a browser on someone else's infrastructure. This is a serious construction finance platform. It manages job costs, payroll, compliance reporting, document control, subcontractor workflows, and the financial close for organizations that often have dozens of projects running simultaneously. Sage itself calls out that it serves over 20,000 construction and real estate companies running Sage 300 CRE. 48% of the ENR top 400 contractors run on it. It's enterprise-grade software with enterprise-grade infrastructure requirements. And that's a big part that people miss when it comes to Sage 300 CRE. And that's what we want to make a point on fairly early. The infrastructure decisions you make around Sage 300 CRE, they're business decisions, not just IT decisions. When Sage is slow, month end slows down. When Sage is inaccessible, project approvals stall. When backup discipline fails, you have a real audit exposure. So who's actually affected when infrastructure fails, when Sage isn't running properly? We want the whole room involved in this conversation because it's not just IT. When Sage does slow down, runs poorly, CFOs and controllers, they often lose access to the financial data that they actually need for reporting and decisions. Accounting teams get stuck mid-close, payroll runs get delayed, or they have to manually piece together. And project managers working from job sites can't pull approvals or documentation. Estimators can't access the job history, they need to bid accurately, and owners are flying blind on the business. It's a cross-functional pain point, and it's why we made this webinar for all of you, not just the person who manages the server. These are the 8 pain points we see in almost every conversation when it comes to hosting their Sage 300 CRE application. First and foremost are aging servers and refresh cycles. As your servers get older, generally it's 5 to 7 years, they recommend you replace those servers. And having to do that consistently is just something that a lot of construction companies want to no longer have to worry about, manage, or maintain, especially as more of their applications are already in the cloud. Number 2 is slow reporting as data grows. Number 3, backup uncertainty. Are your backups restorable if in case of the worst case? Remote access workarounds, VPNs, and Citrix workspace environments. The upgrade and integration risk. Is your hardware ready for the newest Sage 300 CRE upgrade? And your other applications that are pushing or pulling data into Sage. Operating system and version support pressure. So that's if your operating system is a little bit older. If you're running Windows operating system 2016, for example, it goes end of life in January of 2027, which means you're no longer getting that Microsoft security for your server. So again, another thing that construction companies have to worry about or keep on their plate. Number 7 is integration fragility, making sure that your other applications you're using can integrate with that current server you're running. And number 8 is under-optimized accounting workflows. So that last one really has to do more so around the performance itself of Sage. Is it running as well as it can on the hardware that it should? So with this, it kind of pulls us next into a little bit about Sage 300 here. So why is it so demanding? Why does it call for a company like myCREcloud to come in and actually host that software versus just hosting it yourself or hosting it with another provider who might not know Sage as well? So, and it's not that these problems are so persistent, and it's not that Sage admins aren't trying. It's just that Sage 300 CRE has very specific a demanding infrastructure requirement that most general purpose servers and IT setups, they just don't fully satisfy. Sage's current system requirements for version 24 and 25 call for SSD backed storage, not spinning disks. SSD, they recommend multi-core processors with substantial server class RAM. They recommend wired gigabit connectivity, not Wi-Fi, not a remote desktop session over a cable modem. Sage's own user guide is explicit. Ordinary remote network connections do not provide adequate bandwidth to actually run Sage 300 CRE well without using something like terminal services application delivery. And that's not our opinion. That's actually what Sage recommends. The point isn't that all these requirements aren't reasonable or unreasonable. It's that they require intentional, ongoing attention. The kind that's hard to provide when your IT team is also managing everything else in the building. Plus, as a construction or real estate firm, your responsibility is to work. It's to do or build or to accomplish what your company's mission statement is. Not necessarily to worry as much about making sure the infrastructure for your server, making sure your backups, making sure all these small pieces are taken care of. And the cost of doing nothing. So if you were to remain where you are today, it isn't always zero. So a lot of clients think since they bought a server, that's their entire cost. And in trying to compare that to cloud hosting, it's not always apples to apples. It's not just an IT inconvenience when your systems go down. If Sage were to crash on payroll day or when you're getting an estimate or proposal out, that changes the entire forecast of that business for the rest of the year. A day where Sage is inaccessible during month end is a day the controller isn't working from a spreadsheet. Estimates are stalled, executive reporting is delayed. For firms with project heavy cash flow, that delays, it compounds upon itself. A backup posture that hasn't been tested isn't a safety net. It's just an assumption into hoping if something were to happen, we'll be okay. And if that assumption fails, recovery time is measured in days or weeks, not necessarily hours. Aging servers, remote access being difficult. These things are business performance attacks. So they're actually going against what you're trying to do as a company. It's slowing your users down. And especially with a software like Sage 300, if they're in it all the time and they're having very, very slow reporting, or they built out these troubleshoot methods to get around the actual workflows, it's not normally making business more effective. It's actually hurting the business. And that's where myCREcloud comes in. So what we are is a Sage-focused cloud hosting provider. We're built for this. We're not repurposed for hosting Sage. we're not just a generic managed service provider that happens to host some Sage installs. We are a Sage developer partner. So we've committed to deep Sage specific knowledge and certification. Our entire infrastructure model is designed around Sage 300 CRE and the requirements that come with it. And here's what that looks like in practice. Access is browser-based or hosted application delivery. So no VPN, no Citrix, no client installation required. Users log in securely, and they work in Sage exactly as they would in an office, from any device, any location. Support is from US-based technicians who actually understand Sage. We publicly commit to 99.99% uptime. So this is about 52 minutes of potential downtime per year, which is industry leading. Client data lives in geographically dispersed US Tier 4 facilities. So they're fault-tolerant data centers with physical and environmental redundancies. It's not hosted in our office. It's not hosted in a garage or a closet somewhere. It's hosted in the highest tier environment for a server to live, which is a Tier 4 data center. Currently, we support for over 500 Sage companies. Sage 300 CRE is not just a side product for us. It is our product. This is what we host. Working with Sage clients is exactly what we do. And in coming from a history, one of our founding members of myCREcloud, he was actually a Sage consultant for a little over 17 years. So he worked with Sage clients every day, training them, implementing Sage, integrating Sage with other applications. And once he did that for a little over 1,200 construction companies, they started asking him, can you manage our server for us? Or who do you recommend? Since you have Sage 300 CRE working so well, what can we do now if we don't want to host it in our office or have our IT company host it? What do you recommend? And that's when Tanner took that big step, partnered with a construction IT company based here out of San Diego, California. And from there started myCREcloud. These are just a couple of the points that we're touching on. Dedicated support here with myCREcloud. Pick up the phone, give us a call. It always pushes you through to a myCREcloud engineer. So not someone who's just going to open a support ticket for you, write down your first name, last name, and company name and say, hey, we'll call you back. You're actually calling in, getting with one of our engineers. They're working with you on the server side, getting you the help you need, the access you might need, the new user created, whatever it is. They solve that. Once the phone call is hung up, your problem solved. With that, you're getting the enterprise-grade security, peace of mind of having automated backups every single day, the best performance possible for Sage 300 CRE, and not to mention being able to access it from anywhere on any device while making sure all of your other third-party applications are pushing and pulling data in correctly, workflows still work as they did before. Everything you're doing on-prem can be done in the cloud, and we've never had a client complain about performance being poor or about there not being an improvement, at minimum being the same speed as they were noticing on site. And really a lot of this is because of the way we're hosting, the gear that we're hosting on. As I mentioned, Sage calls for SSD, so solid state drives, instead of spinning drives on the actual server. And we go a step further past that. So we actually go up to NVMe drives, which I know is a lot of technical wordplay, if you will, but NVMe is that next step up. So it's the fastest storage possible. It's what all the major players in the industry, when it comes to enterprise-grade facilities, they're running on NVMe. It's the fastest, it's the best, and that's what we recommend. So the state of support in 2026, and we've all kind of seen this before. We've either been in the room living through this personally or watched someone on their team go through it. And you're in the office, Sage is down or something isn't working right. Maybe a report won't run, a print flow broke, payroll won't post. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it matters what that it needs to get fixed. And it needs to get fixed now. If it's payroll, if it's estimating, whatever it is needs to get solved. So you pick up the phone, you call your IT person or your MSP, because that's who handles the technology. And they look at it and they say, this looks like a Sage issue. You need to call Sage support. So you call Sage and Sage looks at it and they say, we're seeing this behavior because of how the server is configured. That's your hosting environment. You need to talk to whoever manages that. So now you're calling your hosting provider. And your host provider says the server is running fine on our end. It could be a configuration issue inside of Sage. Have you talked to your Sage consultant? So now you call your Sage consultant. Your consultant says, we set this up correctly. This could be a Windows permission issue. That's an IT question. And now you're back at IT. So you just made 4 phone calls, spent a couple hours, and Sage is still down. And that's something here that we really like to avoid when it comes to working with our clients. Since we're partnered with so many Sage business partners, since we work with companies like Samantha and Ruth's company, RDM, we are really focused around making support easier. So actually opening up those support channels. So in working with myCREcloud, if you have a problem, you're not sure who to call, we make it extremely easy to pick up the phone and call us. We really don't like to send clients on their way and say, that's not our problem, someone else's. We'll put you in contact, or we'll reach out even on behalf of you to your consultant if you would like, just to be able to make that conversation. We want to make sure the management of your Sage server works when you need it to work, not when we need it to. This is a very, very complicated slide, but when it comes to security, backup, and disaster recovery, this is one of the biggest touch points. When it comes to controllers, CFOs, IT teams, even that I work with, because they want to make sure, okay, if Sage can do everything we need it to do, that's great. But at the end of the day, we need it to be safe. Your data is the most important part of your company. And so keeping that part of your company set with a steady foundation builds success and business success for not only business continuity and risk, but also as insurance, making sure that your data is always backed up, protected, no matter what happens. If you have access to your data, your backup, you can get back online and get back to going where you need to go. So what we do is we defend our clients' data like a digital Fort Knox. And so everything we commit to encryption in transit and at rest for your data, multi-factor authentication, 24/7 monitoring from a dedicated security operations center, daily automated backups with both on-site and off-site retention. So our data center carries compliance posture for SOC 1, 2, and 3, as well as NIST, HIPAA, and PCI. So we work with some Department of Defense and publicly traded companies who have very, very stringent compliance requirements. And for those, we can accommodate wherever you are. Our technology partner stack includes names you'll recognize: SonicWall for network security, Duo for 2FA, Datto for backup and recovery, Veeam for data protection, and Microsoft for identity and productivity. When your Sage environment lives on myCREcloud, you're not just renting space on a shared server somewhere. You're operating inside a tier 4 data set. So tier 4, as I mentioned, is the highest tier. We have them spaced across the US, so one here in San Diego, California, one in Oregon, and one in Virginia as well. Your data is encrypted at rest and in transit using AES 256, which is protected behind redundant stateful firewalls, monitored by a 24/7 SOC, and backed up daily. 3 copies of your data on 2 different media types, 1 offsite, 1 immutable, and 0 errors verified throughout the regular testing. Again, this is a lot to go into and go through when it comes to the actual security side. I'd be happy to send out this PDF or even just answer any questions if anyone had any when it comes to the actual security behind our services. But just know, in working with, as I mentioned, DoD and publicly traded companies, we are forced to follow the highest levels of compliance requirements. So please let us know what framework you're following, and I can get you some more information with regards to how we could help or help set that up. Now, when we're actually going into the architecture of Sage, all we're doing, and this can make it look a whole lot more complicated, but all it is your users here on the left, whether they're using a mobile device, a laptop, a desktop, they're going to log into Sage as they normally would today. So just a little icon sitting on their desktop. We can have MFA set up for them just for added security. But this is really where you're accessing. So once you log in, now you're inside of the Sage 300 CRE environment. This holds all of our security protocols, everything we need to keep your data safe. So instead of you working from your device, you're really using your device as a jump point to work directly from that server. It's not only for better performance, but for better security as well. If you're running the SQL replicator, we host that as well. We're hosting everything when it comes to Sage 300 CRE. And that's really just to ensure you're not needing to bounce from one environment to another to access all of your applications. And again, we're taking care of all the backups here. Monitoring is done entirely by our team, as well as patching. We're a full white glove service. When it comes to hosting Sage, we make sure it runs really well. We provide the support channels that are needed. And if your users need anything, just pick up the phone, give us a call. Now, to get started in the cloud, especially in the nature of 2026, with hardware getting expensive, with operating system upgrades coming in January of 2027, making this process easy is something we've been working on since our company inception. We've got this down to a science now, where it generally takes between 5 to 7 days from start to finish to get a client from on-premise or from with another cloud provider with their Sage over to myCREcloud. And the only downtime is really going to be on a Friday afternoon or a Friday evening into Saturday. Most of our migrations, our team is a full Sage shop as well, so we can handle all client migrations from on-premise to the cloud. It takes generally about 4 to 8 hours to migrate Sage 300 CRE. And so with that, we get everything set up on the back end, build the cloud environment, set up user profiles, make sure the Sage CRE environment we're building is optimized for performance for your company. This piece takes about 1 to 2 days. Again, we're doing that on the back end, so there's no downtime for you. Step 3, this is the data migration. So this is where we'll work with you, pull that most recent backup file, and then between us and your Sage business partner, we get everything migrated from one to the other. Now with this as well, step 4, at the end of step 3, you're go live, you're done. All of your data has been migrated, you're officially in the cloud. As I mentioned, we work with a little over 500 Sage construction companies, and we have a 100% implementation success rate. That's really because of the steps we follow. It's because of the protocols and just our knowledge with Sage. But this 4th step is when you go live. So this is that first day, your users have already been set up, their connections have already been set up. And I'll walk you through what that looks like as well. Now your team has us to rely on if they need anything, if anything doesn't feel right or feel the way it was before, pick up the phone, give us a call. When it comes to printing, saving locally, exporting reports, we want to make sure your environment works the way you need it. There's no company we work with that is a cookie cutter company. Everyone does things differently, operate differently, they use Sage differently. So we want to make sure our services accommodate for each client, not just one specific client. Now what I'd like to do is give you a walkthrough of the actual demo environment itself. We're going to try to see if I can switch screens properly. Okay, now hopefully you can see a nice lighthouse here with a cool ocean ice view. This is my desktop, a little bit messy right now. But just to kind of show or get a feel for what Sage could look like or would look like for you if you decide to move forward with myCREcloud. So for cloud hosting for all clients, what we're setting up is a remote app desktop connection. So remote app desktop connection, all it really means is we're putting this application here that makes it look like your application is running locally, so on your PC, but instead it's running in a tier 4 data center. And so this is what our team is helping with. To set this up, it really only takes about 30 seconds. You'll have your own company specific URL. Once you connect here, Sage 300 CRE will now be connected to your desktop. Once you log in, it'll know your credentials, it'll cache that is your account. But all we're going to do is we double click Sage 300 CRE and Sage 300 pops up. So all the UI stays the same. We're not changing any part of the software. We're bringing over all of your company folders. If you would like, of course, if you have archives or data you just want to keep offline, that's something some clients do. But we pull all company folders you need us to. Then we open within Sage 300 CRE. It's going to look local, feel local. Some of you might be like, hey, this looks the exact same. What's the point of even cloud hosting? Well, the nice part is since Sage isn't installed on my desktop, if you will, it's sitting here as a remote application, but it's not saved on my PC. And so what I mean by that is if I were to knock my coffee over onto my PC and destroy my PC or my computer, my laptop, that's okay. I can open up or grab a new device, go to my laptop, set up this connection, which takes about 30 seconds, and access Sage from anywhere. So this is from the office, this is from the job site, this is from the train, the plane, anywhere in between. Wherever you need Sage, we make it accessible. And this goes for all of your other applications as well. So when it comes to if you're using TimberScan or My Assistant or On-Screen Takeoff, there's a plethora of third-party apps that push or pull data into Sage. If those are living on the server, we'll pull those over too. If you're using Procore and you have the HH2 sync, we'll actually host that sync connector tool. So this is the remote application. For more power users, if you actually want to run the Sage updates yourself, we also have the full remote desktop server. So what this is going to do, it's going to pop us into a completely separate server or terminal server, same Sage. So if I were to open Sage here, I'm going to still have my account, but this is to actually run the admin side of Sage and of the server. So if you're normally the one who goes in and runs Sage updates yourself, this is where you'll log in to access that. But just wanted to show this so you know, at the end of the day, we're just hosting your data. So we're a data hosting provider. It's your data, you own it, you control it, you have full access to the server if you want to. We really don't like to limit clients, but at the same time, we keep the highest level of security. So if you would like to be a full-time admin on the server, we have extra security steps involved there, but you have the access whenever you need it. And then the last thing I want to show you when it comes to the actual accessibility of Sage is our new browser-based offering for Sage 300 CRE. And so what this is a user URL you can go to. It would be for your specific company, so no other client can log into it, no other client knows about it, but you would type in your company specific URL, which is generally your company name, .myCREcloud.com, and it's going to bring you to a page that looks like this. My password was wrong, so let's update that. But once you're on this website, you log into your myCRE account as normal. And then once we log in, you're going to see these applications here. This is our demo server. So on our demo server, we have Sage Estimating, 100 Contractor, 300 CRE. We focus on the Sage construction and real estate applications. But what I'm really showing you here is when you log in for your own, you'll see your applications you have hosted with us. Let's say if it's just Sage 300 CRE, we can click Sage 300 CRE. If we have two-factor authentication set up, it'll ask us to log in with our two-factor authentication. But here we have Sage launching directly from a web browser. So this is living in the browser. If you use other applications that are already browser-based as well, this just adds that layer to Sage. So instead of having to access Sage using that remote desktop we did before, you don't even have to worry about the remote desktop. You can actually bookmark this link if you wanted to. So then every day when you go to log in, you know, you just click you can call it Sage 300 CRE, call it My Sage Apps, click it, log in. Now you're accessing Sage directly from a web browser itself. So this is something a lot of our clients have seen and absolutely love. I've had some clients who have seen it and said, no, we cannot do change. We've been using Sage 300 CRE since the Timberline days. we've been doing the same workflows. We know this is like our Sage 300 CRE lives directly right here on my desktop. That's where I go. That's where I access it. And we're not looking to force anybody into change or say one way is better than the other. At the end of the day, we just want to make those access options possible. So however you want to access Sage, if that's in the full remote desktop, if that's just as a standard remote app that looks local, feels local, but gives you the benefits of the cloud, or with the browser-based Sage, which again gives you all the benefits of the cloud, is directly from the browser. And the beauty of it too is if you like to change things up, you can have access to all three. So you can do all three different login methods. This is normally really, really nice for iPads. The browser is. You can set up the remote application on an iPad, but the browser just makes it much, much easier. When it comes to print settings for both, we make sure all of your printers in your office that are currently connected to your devices or to your servers, we make sure all those connections stay stable. We want to make sure that you're able to save to your local environment or pull files from your local environment. So if you have a file server on site, Active Directory on site, domain controller, that whole server on site, we can connect that with the cloud. We can connect your current file server if you're using like a SharePoint or Box or Ignite. We can connect that to the cloud environment too. So all this to be said, what you're getting at the end of the day with myCREcloud is not only hosting, but also being able to access your Sage where you need it, when you need it, and through the method you need it. So now I'm going to try to flip us back. Okay. Hopefully everyone's still with me. So what we're doing next, so that. This kind of goes in just some of the bullet points, touch points of that browser-based Sage that is just ran through. Open any browser and go directly to Sage. It works on Windows, Mac, iPads, any modern device, and our remote application as well works on all Apple products. So if you are an Apple user, most Sage users aren't Apple users, but if you are, you do have the option there to install on your MacBook or Mac Air. And so let's get into pricing. At the end of the day, all this might look cool, it might sound cool, it could add some benefits to your company's bottom line or just to your users' functionality, or it can even extend the life of Sage 300 CRE. Push that. If Sage 300 CRE runs really, really well, does everything you need it to do, but at the end of the day, you're just looking for better functionality, more speed, maybe better support. That's why clients come to work with us instead of doing a whole new ERP transition, going to Sage's new product, or going even outside of the Sage ecosystem for a new ERP. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of retraining for not only yourself but for your user base. And so, in working with us, instead, you get the same application you've been using for decades, or years, or decades, but you're also getting the benefits of that same application just now in the cloud. So what does this cost? And first, what I want you to consider first is you're already spending money on this problem today. So you're spending it on aging hardware, on IT labor that keeps running, on the VPN infrastructure your remote users, they fight with every day, or they struggle with, or slows them down or kicks them out, and on the backup tools that you hope are working at the end of the day. So that spend is already real. It doesn't just show up as a single line item. It's scattered more so across capital budgets, IT invoices, and the invisible cost of downtime. And that baseline is getting more expensive, not because of you doing anything wrong or what your users are doing or because of the state of the market we are in today, but it's what's happening actually in the broader market. Three forces are driving hardware costs up in ways that aren't going to reverse in, by the end of 2026, if you will. First is going to be tariffs, imported electronics and server components. They now carry different cost layers that simply didn't exist 3 years ago. So a server refresh that might have ran your organization $40,000 in 2019 is likely more so 80 to 100,000 from what our clients and other IT companies are telling us. And that's before you even account for your UPS, which is like your backup battery for your server, networking, storage, and just like continued maintenance on that server. So that's number one. Number two is the AI boom. I'm sure all of us have heard AI probably 10 times so far just this morning. And there's so much focus around the growth behind AI. A lot of these large companies are building out entire data centers, and inside of these data centers are servers. And servers, the same way servers can host applications like Sage 300 CRE, servers can also host LLMs and AI and allow them to build and grow and create more chatbots than we could ever need. But that's part of what's causing the server hardware costs to go up. And then third, lastly, is just supply and demand imbalances. There is sort of a chip shortage, if you will. And so suppliers all across the globe are looking to extend or expand their supply or capabilities to supply these components. So it takes time. It's not something that'll always be an issue or always be a problem, but these price inconsistencies for servers started in about October, November of last year. And so with that, even lead times to get new servers went from a couple weeks. So if your server crashed today, Sage goes down. Well, before it was you call Dell and maybe you wait a week or two till you get that server. So you're down for a little bit. But now it's like the lead time we're seeing is between 6 weeks to 12 weeks. So it's even a month and a half to 3 months. And that's after you place the order, after you purchase the server. So you already paid for it. Now you're just waiting for it. And again, that's really just the supply and demand side. So it brings us into our price. So our cost is fixed. It doesn't change. It's on a monthly basis. Now with that, I understand being able to pay for something once today versus once a month is it's a different operating model. But at the end of the day, if that cost is less over time, or if the benefits outweigh the cost and it's less over time, then making these sort of transitions, especially in the state of our industry right now with hardware costs, they really do make sense. Now with that, each of our environments that we do build out goes by three things. The first is number of users. The second is the amount of data. And the third are the number of applications. So I wish I could say, hey, average company will be this much per month, but it's really not the case because that average can sway so much between, is it just Sage 300 CRE or do they have other applications that are hosted as well? How much data? Is it a 10 gigabyte database or is it a 250 gigabyte database? And then third, how many people are actually logging in? So the more users that log into a server, the more powerful or beefed up that server needs to be. But we make it very easy to get pricing here. So if you are looking into it, that's something I would love to get sent over to you. But what we're looking at right now is just a full stack engagement. So myCREcloud plus RDM, and you're getting better Sage from day one and working with the team at RDM already. And so just finding ways to extend that life of your current Sage 300 CRE application is really where we come in. It's the companies we partner with and work with are focused on this Sage ecosystem and making these Sage users enjoy or experience their Sage better. So you can stay on-prem. Here's a couple of choices or alternatives. And the costs we've just described, they continue. The refresh cycle comes again if that's in a couple of years. Remote access complexity remains. And it's a valid choice for some organizations. Staying on-site can make sense for some companies. But just knowing that there are other options and just being conscious that the choice you're making is actually a better choice financially or also on the business continuity side. And working with companies like Azure or AWS for hosting, why not host with them instead of myCREcloud? And while those platforms are extremely powerful, they follow a shared responsibility model. And so Microsoft owns documentation states that the customer remains responsible for their data, for applications, identities, operating system layer in cloud environments. So you're actually still responsible for managing, maintaining, keeping that server up and up to date, working, available. If you need anything, you can call, or you can't really call Azure AWS, but you can send in a ticket and they'll tell you your server is on or off, but that is about the extent of their support. They wouldn't actually work with your users to get anything solved. It's more so you're just renting storage space and they're providing it to you. Versus our engagement is a little bit more hands-on. It's someone or a strategic partner for you to work with, ask questions to, get your environment ready. And in working with both RDM and myCREcloud, you're really getting the full stack. So you're getting the infrastructure, security, backup, access, and then also the inside Sage part, the reporting, payroll, process, and the advisory to make your Sage 300 CRE experience as strong as possible. And these are just a couple of comments from our clients. At the end of the day, anybody can put a couple quotes up onto a web page, but we truly have incredible support at myCREcloud. We care deeply about our customers. And they tell us in comments here, but also on our Google reviews. We do monthly check-ins with a lot of our clients as well, just to make sure everything is going well. Clients at the end of the day are the most important part of any business. So making sure that your Sage is not only running well, but past your expectations, and the team here is, or you're getting and experiencing what you were expecting. That's really at the end of the day what we're focused on. So if anyone is interested, and thank you for sticking around with me so far on this fine Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon, depending on where you're jumping in. If you are interested in getting a quote for our services for hosting, or if you would rather even just jump on a call to kind of go over what you currently have, what your environment looks like, and a couple of the goals or priorities with your team to see if hosting would even make sense. And sometimes maybe it doesn't. New ERP could be an option, other company keeping it on site. It really depends on kind of where your company is at and where they're looking to go. But feel free to go to our website here at myCREcloud.com/CRE quote and click on the Sage hosting quote. That will go directly to me, to which I can reach out, and you would get on a call with myself or someone from our team just to go over what your environment looks like, see if the hosting of your Sage makes sense, can accommodate what you're looking for. But that is really all we had for today. Again, thank you all so much for your time. I would like to break into the Q&A, see if we have any questions here. We have one question. You previously mentioned the browser. Does myCRE offer integrations in the browser too? Yes, good question, Haley. It does entirely. And so the same way that you can access all of your applications from the desktop, you can do the same from the browser. So if you're hosting Sage 300 CRE and maybe Sage Paperless and Sage Estimating and these other applications, when we use the browser-based option for Sage, we can also log in the exact same way, which is very, very nice. Just makes it easy, makes it very comfortable. Log into the browser, log into Sage, access your apps. Thank you, Haley. Does anybody else have any questions that you would want to drop into the chat just regarding hosting, or even just your current environment, what your network might look like? All right, not seeing any more questions pop in. Well, again, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day to jump on with me to go over our services for Sage 300 CRE. And Samantha, thank you for your time today. Everyone have a great day. Until next time.
Thank you.